All right, okay, so we are here again for the next session of VIA 3012, English for Academic Purposes. Today we are going to look at three things, okay? How to revise your introduction and conclusion for your research paper. And then we are going to revise on the language for cohesion in essay writing, as well as last one, how to document your evidence in your paper. Okay, now let's start with the introduction part of your paper. All right. This one, you how to say this? You don't just place one person to only write introduction, because you don't want to have a very lengthy introduction. You're not writing a thesis paper or a journal. You are writing basically an essay, a long essay. So um, the how to say suggested length will be one page, one full page, okay? Or if you want to exceed 1.5 maybe. If for introduction, depend on your topic. Let's say you have a lot to cover, probably your introduction will be divided into several parts. So when you write your introduction, how to make it effective, first is you have to engage your reader and introduce your topic, because first impression is very important, especially in reading, in writing. The first thing that you want to do is when your reader reads your essay, of course, you want to make sure they are engaged, they are interested, and make sure in your introduction you introduce your topic, you establish your purpose, and you state your thesis. Thesis, yes, thesis statement. Yeah, we have learned, I have explained in length on how to construct your thesis statement. I have even showed you several examples. Hopefully you have that already. I think most groups have a solid thesis statement already, right, in your outline. Okay, so when it comes to introduction, there are several techniques. This one you can refer to page 102. Okay, throughout these slides, I'm going to put page number so you can listen to my explanation and at the same time refer to your textbook. Okay, please do so, because most of the examples are in the book. All right, so when it comes to introduction, you need a hook. A hook here means how to say, an element that attract the reader. Okay, the first technique will be, these are all the options lah. You don't have to use all the techniques in the same essay. Choose one. All right, sometimes maybe two, depend. All right, so for example, number one, you can use a quotation or a surprising fact or statistic from your sources that relates to the focus of your topic. Okay, let's say on the example given on the screen, it's about the topic is about internet. Okay, the topic is about internet. So this author starts with a quotation by a Roman philosopher, Seneca. Okay, so you might think that, well, that's an old, very old quotation. It was how to say, it was said 2000 years ago by a Roman philosopher, Seneca, some more. So and then what's the quote? To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Okay, this is his quote 2000 years ago. And you might wonder, why is this author using a quote from 2000 years ago? Right, and then this is the explanation. Today, the internet grants us easy access to unprecedented amounts of information, but a growing body of scientific evidence suggests that the net, with its constant distractions and interruptions, is also turning us into scattered and superficial thinkers. Okay, so here it means that this quote is trying to say that to be everywhere is to be nowhere, because when you use internet, you feel like you can go everywhere, but without us realizing, sometimes because too much of internet, we are stuck mentally, meaning we are not really growing mentally because of the distraction, interaction, and then we become even more superficial thinkers. Superficial thinkers, it means we don't have original thoughts. We cannot think of our own because we rely on internet. So that's how this author tried to relate what he's trying to say in his essay with the quote from 2000 years ago. And who knows, right? A quote from 2000 years ago is still relatable to today's issue. All right. So this is one of the smart way to create a hook in your writing. Okay. Usually a quotation is a definite hook, meaning if people would want to read a quotation right away. If you start your essay with a quotation, they would, automatically they would read. If you start your essay in the era of globalization, in the era of pandemic, nowadays, please get rid of that high school introduction. You are a degree student already. You can start your essay with in the era of, in the era of that, in the era of this, or nowadays. Be upgrade your way of opening your essays. Okay, one of the way is to introduce a quotation. Okay, if you don't know any quotation, here you can also use a surprising fact or statistic related to your topic. Okay, next technique will be to describe a problem or dilemma or controversy associated with your topic. Okay, for example, here, turn off your cell phone and pages. So this is just like a general dialogue, right? Turn off your cell phone and pages. And then the author describes a common problem everyone experience now. He said, for most people, heeding or following this warning in hospitals or at the movies is as simple as pressing a button. Meaning most people, it's easy for them to follow. Yeah, I should turn off my cell phone and pages. But for a growing number of people across the globe, the idea of being out of touch, even just for a 90-minute movie, is enough to induce anxiety, says University of Florida psychologist who studies addiction to the internet and other technologies. Some people can't even switch off their phone during a movie because they are anxious. So this type of hook or this type of introduction presents you a very relatable problem. Dalam bahasa kasar, in other words, when you read this, you feel, oh, I feel attacked. Why is this so relatable? Because I understand this, I experience this, maybe. So when reader can relate with the problem, they would want to read more. Okay, and next one, tell a story. This one you have to refer to page 103 because it's quite long, the introduction. I cannot fit all the paragraph in this column. Okay, so if you look at page 103, the sample introduction, this is another clever and creative way of opening your essay. You start with a story. I mean, who doesn't like story, right? Everyone loves listening to story, reading story, especially if the topic is so heavy. I'm sure that judging by the topic that this class chose, let me see. Okay, most of the topics are very heavy topic, right? Porn addiction, freedom of expression, discrimination against disabled people, AI, okay, and cyberbully, all very serious and how to say worrying topic. So you don't want to right away stress your reader. They are already stressed. Maybe they want to read more about cyberbullying and stuff, but they want to at least open the essay with something relaxing, something that they can digest and they can understand easily. Okay, one of the ways is to attract them with a story. In page 103, you can read the whole paragraph on your own, but basically, if you read the first few sentences, you can see the author is telling you his personal experience about how he saw or he met a homeless person who used to be a veteran. Veteran here means old soldiers, veteran soldiers, okay, retired soldiers, and And if you follow the story, you know why this person became homeless. It's because he did not get, or he did not get his pension on time. Dapat lambat pension dia. Okay, the pension on time, and because of that, he had to be homeless. And then look at the I don't know what sentence. I think the second last sentence word. Like Mike, okay, there are a lot of homeless people that you see on the streets. And then we have a statistic, 23% of the total homeless population are veterans. The causes of homelessness are numerous and complex. And then the thesis statement. See, you open with a story, but eventually you relate with your thesis statement. This is another important technique in writing, in creating a hook. Okay, you hook them, you caught them with a story. All right, next one, next technique is when you relate your personal reason for your interest in the topic, the reason why you want to write about this topic. Okay, for example, let's say you are a woman and you are a woman writer. You are a successful career woman, okay, and you want to write about changing status of women in business. So you might begin with a story about the early career of successful businesswoman. So sometimes the way you open it is by highlighting your personal reason of writing it. Can also be accepted. Next one, define a word that is central to your topic. Okay, this is another interesting hook, another way, especially if your topic requires a very clear definition. Okay, for example, the topic on globalization. Believe me, if you ask anyone, probably they couldn't give you a proper definition of globalization. That word is too big. Even if I ask you now, what do you understand about globalization? What exactly is globalization? Even if you ask me, I couldn't give you a straightforward answer. I might have to go around the bushes and I will ask you question back. Teacher akan tanya balik. On what context? Local, country, people, I mean entertainment. What do you want to know based on globalization? Because it's such a huge term. Okay, so if you feel like your topic is dealing with this kind of term, you can start your introduction with or by defining the term. For example, here the topic is about globalization. So this author define the term based on his focus. So in this case, he wants to focus on the economic sphere. Maksudnya in the economic point of view, this is what globalization means. All right, so let's say I look at your example of topic. Let's say you want to talk about discrimination against disabled people, right? All right, even the word discrimination is big and there are many types of discrimination. Many types of discrimination. So in your introduction, you need to specify what do you focus on, what kind of, what type of discrimination you are focusing on. And based on your title, you want to focus more on discrimination against disabled people. Okay, so in your introduction, start with a general term about discrimination in general. There are many types. This one, A, B, C, D. But as you go on, you said this paper is going to discuss under the scope of discrimination against disabled people. Okay, so this is why you should start with something big. Okay, wait, my camera is breaking up. Okay. Okay, this is why you should start your introduction with something general so that you can continue narrow it down. Start dari besar and kecilkan, narrow it down the scope. Imagine you straight away start with something narrow. Discrimination against disabled people, right? You start with something very specific and then in the middle of writing, you don't know how to expand because it's already very narrow. We don't know how to expand more in detail at example because it's already very narrow. So that's why you start with something general. Talk about discrimination first. Okay, in Western situation, how is it? What's the most common type of discrimination? And then in Asian, discrimination is usually related to maybe gender. Western related to races. And then as you go on, then you can say in this paper, we are focusing on disabled people. All right. So same with other topic. Okay. So next one, another one more technique will be make a historical comparison or contrast. Okay. This is another good technique where you talk a bit or write a bit about the historical background of the topic. For example, the topic on let's say, yeah, one of the group is doing on AI, right? Artificial intelligence. We are dealing with technology, in which technology is changing constantly. Every month, you will see new models of this and that, gadgets here and that. So AI, you can trace back when it was first started, the concept of AI. What year, which era, right? Is it in the 80s? And then what do they think of back then about AI? Did they accept it? And in what form? Kalau sekarang we only think about, if in the 80s, probably AI is only in the form of machine, computer, that's all. But nowadays, AI is basically everywhere. You have it in your phone. Right, so you explain a bit the historical comparison. In the 80s, this is what it means by AI. Sikit-sikit, right? Very small number of gadget, but now it has evolved. We can basically see AI is everywhere. We depend on it. And then, for example, what will be the gadgets and the tools related to AI? Okay, so you bring us, the reader, into the line of the history of your topic. Okay, same with the group who's doing freedom of expression. Probably 20 years ago, we talk about freedom of expression in a different way, or they don't even have freedom of expression. Nowadays it's different because of Facebook and Twitter and such, right? It's too free to express anything. All right, is it a good thing or not? That's up to you to discuss. All right, next one is on the conclusion. We have done on the introduction part. I've shown you 6 type of techniques for writing a hook. So far, any question? Any question on the introduction part? No? All right, okay, let's move on to conclusion. So if we have opening or introduction, we also need to have the closing or the conclusion. Okay, so what is conclusion? Basically, conclusion is the final analysis of the main points of your paper. Okay, an ending comment that inspires your reader to continue thinking about your topic. Meaning that you want to make sure that after they read, they finish reading your essay, you want them to feel something. You want them to at least change their mind about something. Maybe not much, but at least they keep thinking about it. They would say, oh, this is a good article. Okay, I can agree. Or maybe they'll say, I need to read more about this topic. I need to find more information on other type of essays, which is also a good thing. You have already attracted your reader. Okay, so although the length of concluding paragraph might not be as long as the body parts or the introduction part, but it's still considered important. So my suggestion here is, in terms of length, same as conclusion. You can write it in 1 page, okay? And the longest would be, like I said, 1.5 lah. But I think it will be proper if you just have it in 1 page, 1 page of conclusion. Okay, let's see how to write a good ending comment or conclusion. First technique will be to echo the approach used in the introduction by using different wording. Echo here means to repeat without using the same word, echo, right? Without using the same, you repeat. Basically, you review, okay? Refresh back. Okay, I want you to refer to page 104 and 105. Okay, let's look at page 104, the column of introduction. Okay, so I'm gonna briefly explain what is it about. Okay, it says here, the introduction, what do we do when we have a problem? Leave it alone or try to solve it? Most people say that globalization creates more and more problems, such as increasing the gap between the rich and the poor. Okay, I read the first few sentences. I know already. What is it about? Again, it's about globalization, and then this author is trying to discuss whether globalization is a problem or not, and it says here it creates more problems, such as more gap between rich and poor. Okay, so and then you can continue reading lah. This is his introduction. Okay, this is his introduction, and he proceeds by explaining to you that what's the difference between high income, low income, and then it's different based on country. And the truth is, in developed countries have been supporting the developing countries by providing jobs and other opportunities so that starving people can survive with dignity. So, and then look at the last few sentences. There is an expression that says, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. This is a very famous, common, not idiom, how to say, saying, quotation. Okay, very deep one. Okay, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Okay, so this author use this quotation. Okay, and then and then continue explaining what it means. This saying illustrates how globalization is a positive force because it supports the life of the poor with jobs, education, and access to improved technology. Meaning, because of globalization, we manage to have more jobs and help poor people. Okay, so this is the introduction. All right, let's look at the concluding paragraph, the next page. Okay, so basically his conclusion, he starts with the summary of the main point, which is very typical. You summarize a bit your main point of the whole paper, and then look at the ending comment, the last sentence. I refer the reader back to the expression about teaching a man to fish. Globalization provides the necessary tools for the poor to eat for a lifetime. Okay, so what he's doing here is what we call echoing the intro in the conclusion by using different wording. It's like paraphrasing, but you want to remind the reader that, okay, remember I told you about this expression in the introduction? Okay, now I'm gonna explain back. I want to show you the link in the intro and in the conclusion. So that when reader reads, we can see cohesion, kesinambungan, right? Okay, another technique is the same as the one in introduction. You use a quotation. I think a quotation here is very effective way to create attention, right? You can even use it in your conclusion. Okay, for example, in the screen here, in a conclusion for a paper supporting capital punishment, you could include a quote from a victim family on why they believe in the death penalty. All right. For example, the paper your topic is about capital punishment. Capital punishment ni apa everyone? Capital punishment. Who knows? What kind of punishment is this? Punishment is not denda What is capital punishment? Jawapan dia actually is in the same paragraph too. What is it? Capital punishment? It's in the same paragraph on the screen. The answer.
Death penalty.
Sorry?
Death penalty.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes, the death penalty. Okay, capital punishment means highest punishment, biggest, most serious punishment. And as a criminal, the worst thing that could happen to you, of course, a capital punishment, meaning you will be given a death penalty. Okay, so this paper discuss about capital punishment because some countries believe that it's not appropriate to practice capital punishment because they feel like the criminal should be given second choice, second chance. Sorry, second chance. Okay, so some countries don't have capital punishment. Our country still have capital punishment. Okay, because we still hang people. In America, no. That's why they still have all these serial killers, high profile criminals in their prison because they cannot hang them. Okay, so let's say your paper you side with capital punishment. You feel like we should practice capital punishment to reduce crimes, and in your conclusion you put a quote from victim's family and why they believe in death penalty. You quote what the parents of the parents of the dead victim said. To add more drama, to be more dramatic. You say this is the quote from the parents of the victims who die because they were killed by this criminal. And this criminal, they are trying to save him by putting in prison, not hang. So to create that drama or dramatic and effect. Okay, so quotation. And then third technique, end with a powerful fact or other detail related to the topic of the paper. Let's say your paper argue about stronger recycling program. You could conclude with a statistic that show the amount of garbage produced each year. Again, to be dramatic, because at the end of the day, you want to end your paper with a bang. You want to end it with something so impactful when people read. Okay, so let's say you are discussing about recycling program. So you remind your reader that statistically, this is how much garbage we produce each year. And because of this, we should have a better, stronger recycling programs. Okay, last technique is to recommend a course of action if called for in the material you present. Okay, the last one here is can also be done if you're not if you're not using problem solution focus. Okay, let's say you just discuss cause and effect in your essay. So in your concluding paragraph, you can provide a few suggestions to overcome whatever the problem you state in your paper, but briefly, of course, in one page. Okay, so that we have four techniques in writing, ending comments. Okay, now let's move on the techniques for building cohesion. Cohesion here means kesinambungan, relation between one sentence to another. The first way is to use guiding language so that your ideas flow logically from one point to the next. And how to use this? You use transitional markers, words and phrase to show connection between your thesis statement, topic sentence, and other supporting details. So a good example can be referred on page 111. Okay, if you go to page 111, there is a passage there. Okay, to show you how to elaborate and organize your paragraph. As I said, you always start your paragraph with a topic sentence, right? Okay, you start with a topic sentence uh, and proceed by explaining the reasons. You provide an alternative perspective, okay? And you explain outside evidence, provide more example, additional idea, and then you summarize the point. So you have all these points. So how to make sure all of these points are closely linked to another? Dia berkaitan antara satu sama lain. So use transition markers or words to help you. Okay, the one in bold here. We have so, however. When you want to provide an example, okay, with the different word, you can say in other words. For example, they also, such as, thus. When we summarize, and you can say thus, or in short, in summary. Okay, even in body paragraph, you still need to summarize your your body paragraph. Okay, let me show you another example. Okay, this one, guiding sentences between paragraph. Let's say this is the end of the paragraph, the last sentence of the paragraph, body paragraph. Basically, heroes live for ideals and their principles function as a catalyst that motivates society. However, sometimes a hero's ideas conflict with some members of society. So we have the word conflict, this sentence, to show that not everyone loves hero. Okay, not everyone loves superhero, hero or superhero, or someone who feel like they need to save everyone. Bukan semua orang suka Sometimes it brings more conflict to some members of society. And and then your next paragraph, you want to start a new paragraph. You want to add, you want to start with a new point. You link whatever you have talked in the last part of your paragraph in the previous paragraph. You link it in the first sentence of the next paragraph. Faham tak? Ujung ayat dan ayat pertama. Ujung ayat paragraph 1 and then ayat pertama, second paragraph. Link it. So how to link here? Okay, just now we talk about conflict, meaning even heroes, they have conflict with some member society. So next paragraph, you start with the sentence that also talk about conflict, but with a different word. Because heroes must often face some opposition to their ideals and their effort to change society, they must also be brave, a second characteristic of heroes. Okay, now so in the first paragraph, the last sentence you said, however, sometimes heroes' idea conflict with some member. And next paragraph you say because of this, because they face opposition. Opposition means tentangan. Tentangan also means conflict. See, you maintain the focus by using different words. So I can clearly follow and see the link. Okay, all right. So this is how you use guiding language. Help me as your teacher to guide me lah as your teacher and as your examiner in your essay, so that when I read, I can follow, I can be guided, use certain word in paragraph 1, 2, 3. I can see, in Malay we call kesinambungan. Okay, all right. Next one. Next technique is to create lexical chain, meaning you repeat keywords or related words. Why do we need to repeat? Because we want to emphasize important ideas and show how ideas are organized. So if you look at this paragraph, the topic is about studying abroad. Okay. The first benefit of studying abroad is personal growth. The international education of students surveyed all IES students who studied overseas from 1950 to 1999 and found that these students said that they developed many positive personal characteristics through their international experience. When students live in another country, they are willing to try new things in an effort to adapt to the host country. The next advantage for international students is improving their knowledge and understanding of both their own and their host country's culture. Okay, what I want you to pay attention to is the color of the sentence, right? The one in black, the one in black bold color, all right? It's basically the same thing, but it's written in different word. First, I use the word studying abroad. And next one, I said studied overseas. Next one, I use students. Okay. And then next one, I use students live in another country. Here, I use these student. These students, it's sepatutnya this student. All right. So just now I said studying abroad, who study overseas, and then I just said student, student. This here refers to those who studied overseas, okay? Studied overseas. Oh, terlari. Right, and then the one in our student live in another country. Tiga, basically 3 ways on how to say belajar luar negara. Studying abroad, studied overseas, student who live in another country. 3 different things. 3 different way of writing but same meaning. And then the one in green. The one in green, host country means the country that you decide to study in. Let's say you decide to study in Turkey. So Turkey is your host country. So host country's culture. I repeat certain keywords but with consistency. So instead of saying adapt to other country, you so use the word host country's culture. And then we have the word international experience. International experience related to abroad. And the one in green, the one in red, first you use full form, tulis penuh. But next time you use the short form because you already introduced the first, the full form the first time. Okay, this is what it means by lexical change. The words that you use are consistent. If from the beginning you use the word studying abroad, make sure you are consistent, talking about those who live in other country. You cannot talk about students who live in local or studying locally. Okay, to show connection, let's say topik siapa ya? Okay, so I think the one that I can give example will be those who are doing cyberbullying topic. Okay, if that word is very common, right? I mean, cyberbullying. So besides the word cyberbullying, what are the ways to replace that word without changing its meaning? You can say cyberbullying happen, and next sentence you say online bullying, bullying through social media. Instead of setiap sentence, every paragraph cyberbully, teacher pun penat baca. Okay, no variety. Okay, next one is to use pronouns clearly. This always happen to students. Sometimes I don't know who you are referring to. Okay, for example, the word students who study abroad state that their worldview has changed because their interactions with people in their host country. They also have a broader worldview through this interaction. So when you have the word they, it's not clear who they refers to. Is it the student who study abroad or the people in the host culture? Because you said their interaction with people in their host culture. So you're talking about students who study abroad interacting with local people in their host country. So, and then you said they have broader worldview. Who? The student or the people in that culture, that host culture? So it's not clear here. So what should you use? So maybe you can replace they with the students. Okay, and then next one, this one is grammar wise, keep verb tense consistent. Okay, use simple present and simple past unless there is a clear reason to choose another verb. This one is the go-to tip. If you feel like your verb is weak, try to go with simple present tense because you are writing an academic essay, not a narrative one. Okay, academic essay, most of the time you use present tense. If you are talking about something in the past, just use simple past tense. Okay, use simple tenses. Okay, unless you feel like there is a need to use another verb, past progressive or perfect tenses, then you can use. If not, just keep it to present tense where you talk about general information, facts, opinions, and research findings. Research finding is in the present tense. You also use it in citations and paraphrases because it has become a fact. Fakta ni kita tak boleh guna past tense. because it won't change. You use past tense because when you refer to specific events that began and ended in the past. Let's say just now you want to talk about the historical background or AI or freedom of expression in your introduction. You want to talk about what happened in the 1980s. So of course you need to use past tense. Okay, so use signal word or time phrase when switching time frames. For example, past tense, you have the word like at the time, in the past, or specific year, in 2001. Present tense, sekarang, you can use presently, currently, in the present, at the moment, or yang paling popular yang semua orang minat, nowadays. Sikit-sikit nowadays, sikit-sikit nowadays, right? So sebenarnya ada lagi perkataan lain like presently, currently, in present, at the moment. Okay, so vary your vocabulary. Move on from nowadays. Jangan dah lah guna nowadays tu. Alright. Now next one, I think this one, the last technique. Link old and new information. Old and new here means first sentence, second, every sentences. Setiap ayat awak, it is tied together. Okay, for example, if you look at the screen, we have 5 sentences. All of these sentences are related to each other and they are basically from the same paragraph. Okay, but we separate to show you old and new. For example, culture shock and reverse culture shock have several stages in common. Nak cakap pasal culture shock and reverse culture shock. They have several stages. And then next sentence, you use the same phrase. These shared stages include a honeymoon stage, a disintegration stage, and an adaptation stage. Contohlah awak bagi tahu ada 3 jenis. 3 jenis tu apa? 1, 2, 3, right? And then next sentence, you take one. During the honeymoon period, students feel elated, happy by the freshness of the culture. First time masuk, college, feel so happy, honeymoon period. And then you said the student feel excited, feel elated. Next sentence, you take the same sentence. This excitement occurs whether a student is entering a new culture or returning to their home culture after a long absence. Dia menjadi seronok probably because they are in a new culture or something that they are familiar with. And then you said when they return home to their home culture, meaning rumah awak yang betulnya, for example Malaysia, you tarik juga yang that point for next sentence. When students return home, their reaction to the familiar sides of their own culture can surprise them. Okay, this technique is called looping. It's like you create holes in each sentences and then you drag, you bring it to the next sentence. You drag and bring it to the next sentence. So each sentence has an old information and a new information. Old information from previous sentence, new what you come up with, and then that new information will become old information in the next sentence. Dia saling berkaitan so that when people read, people will see the ties, the connection. Okay, so that there won't be a situation where you said you are stuck. We're trying to avoid that. When tengah you're typing and suddenly you stuck. You don't know what else to say. Awak macam block lah. Okay, suddenly you have no more things to say. Tak cukup lagi lah teacher. I mean, tak cukup pages lagi. I mean, I need 1 more pages, 1 more, 2 more paragraphs. What else to say? So go back, read again your paragraphs and see what you're missing and use all this technique. Okay, and the last one is about documenting evidence. I think this one I can just go really quickly because you can see a lot of examples in the book as well. Just to remind you that when you include evidences in your paragraph, don't forget the name of the author, the year, and then what verb you use, and then whatever evidence statement or given by the author. For Western people, we use their last name. For Malaysian or Indonesian, Asian lah usually, Malaysian or Indonesian, Southeast Asia, we use our first name. Okay, let's say you want to quote me, you say Nur Halida. Okay, and the year. And then there are two ways. It's either you put it in the sentence. Harper in bracket 2001 writes what, or you want to put that in the end of the sentence. Later born children are more likely to pursue non-traditional careers. In bracket Harper 1992. Okay, and then this reference list, I will provide you the manual, USIM handbook from USIM, USIM handbook, where you can go over and check the correct format for this. There are marks for this. Marks is given based on the way you write your reference list. You cannot just copy and paste your link. If you get it from the internet, you cannot copy and paste the link and then that's it. No, you need to have a proper format, APA format we call. Kita panggil APA format. So more examples you can see on page 1 to 5 actually. More example given. But let's say you have trouble with this one. Okay, contohnya teacher, I found an information from this website. I want to use it as an evidence, but I don't know how to cite. So you can just ask me. You can personally contact me and provide me the example, the link, and then I'll tell you macam what's the correct format. But even if, only if you are stuck lah. Janganlah semua you give me all 10 links and then ask me to do the reference list for you. No, you should try first. If you start you're not sure, then you can ask me, because buku tu panjang. There are many ways on how you can do your reference list. It all depends on the type of resources. You can also cite from YouTube, from a video. How to do that? Macam mana? Let's say your source is from a YouTube video, but it's a legit one lah, a reliable one. Don't give me a vlogger, YouTuber yang famous and anything, but it must come from an actual scholar or researcher or someone who are very proficient in that field. Okay. And one more thing, I think this is very common. You want to cite from Quran. Okay, my suggestion here is to only put the English translation and then the number of the verses. Okay, which surah, which sentence. Don't put the Arabic term or Arabic verses in your research paper. Okay, you might be able to do that for your thesis, but not this assignment lah. Okay, I advise you not to do that. Okay, because you never know where your essays might be placed. It's gonna be a bit difficult. So just put the English translation to be used as one of the quotation. All right, so I think I've covered most of the topic that I want. I think I've covered all, basically the one I've mentioned in the beginning. Okay, I start with the ways to write down a proper introduction. I introduce 6 technique, right? Quotation, describe the problem, tell the story, or relate to your personal reason, define a certain word, or make a historical comparison for introduction. When it comes to conclusion, you use a quotation, can also be used for conclusion, or you end it with a very powerful fact or other details, or you provide recommendations or solutions to the problem you are discussing. And then I move on to the techniques for building cohesion, links between your sentences in your paper. Use guiding language, to help you from one sentence to another, from one paragraph to another. Create lexical chain, meaning you repeat keywords without using the same vocabulary, okay, and you maintain the ideas and the meaning. Use a clear pronoun, okay, use a clear pronoun. Keep your verb tense consistent, okay. Most of the time you will be using simple tenses, either present or past. Link old and new information for each sentences, all right? To avoid you getting stuck with ideas, always go back to the previous sentences or previous paragraph. And then lastly, how to document your evidences, all right? It's either in text or end of sentences type of citation. All right, so for any question? Soalan? Any question regarding your paper? Yes, no? Anyone? Okay, all right. No, yes, no question, no question. No question can be good or bad. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this class. Any problem on the paper or not. Okay, anyway, this is the rubric that I'll be using to assess your peer evaluation. This is not the rubric for your research paper sebenarnya. I forgot. But okay, basically, let me explain you what is peer evaluation. Like I said just now, this is another form that you have to fill in. Each of you need to fill in. Each of you, okay, need to fill in. This is not by group. This is individual. You write down your name, your class, no need, right? And then you yourself have to briefly describe your contributions or quality and quantity of performance and its effect on your group performance. Group performance, here we're talking about research paper, your research paper. As a group member, probably you are the leader. What is your contribution? Briefly describe. If you are the one who create the rough outline, you say that. If you're the one who come up with a thesis statement, you mention that. If you are the one who compile and edit, mentioned. What is your contribution? And then this part, you have to write your group member's name. Okay, group member's name. As well as yourself. Tick in the columns based on the contribution of the group members, including yourself. So write down your friend's name, including yourself. Nama awak sekali. And then you rate. You rate yourself and you rate your group members. Let's say there are 3 of you, including yourself. In the group, I want to see 3 names here. Okay, letak 3 nama. 3. Semualah, semua. Usually student forget. Usually students only put their friend's name. You put your name as well, and rate your friends whether it's their contribution is considered poor, fair, or good, or excellent even. And this one, leave it blank. Okay, this column, leave it blank. I will be the one who put this, will fill this column. Let's say you give your friends 5 or 7 or 8. Don't be too worried about the marks given or whatever marks you might get, because it will also be influenced by my marks. Okay, so sometimes I say, oh, this student received for good marks from her friends, but I know what kind of student she is or he is. I have my own way to observe your contribution. Okay, so don't be too how to say, don't be hesitate lah, jangan teragak-agak to evaluate your friends. If you feel like this one person did poorly, just rate him or her poorly. Okay, and this part I will award it, okay, based on what I feel right. Okay, so basically this is the peer evaluation form. You still need to fill in and submit on Google Classroom. I will set up the link. So the thing that you need to submit before within these 2+ weeks is your research paper, your test 1, which is your supporting detail, this peer evaluation form, as well as for those who haven't finished their grammar test, please do so within this week. Okay, So sekarang ni tinggal 70 I think. 50 research paper, 10 supporting detail test, another 10 peer evaluation. 70% assessment that you owe me. Okay. Right. The rest I think we have done like 10% for grammar. Apa lagi kita? Oh, summary. Yeah, another 20% summary. Okay. So any question? Ada soalan? Any question? No. You have class after this What time?
Today tak ada, teacher.
Tak ada, right? Okay. Never mind. I think I'm done on my part. So if you have no questions, I will wrap up today's class. I hope that you would quickly finalize your paper and submit on Google Classroom. I think I have set up the assignment post. Many teacher dah set up dah. I will only set up a new one for peer evaluation. So, and one more thing, for research paper, only the group representative that need to send. Okay. Jangan semua hantar research paper, please. I don't know which one is the finalized one. Alright, please. Only one representative from each group need to send the full draft or the full version, the finalized version of your research paper. Okay. But the one that that each of you need to submit is the 10%. That's one. Supporting details where you have to fill in your thesis statement semua tu. That one is individual. Each of you need to submit on your own. But for research paper, 50%, just one per group. For peer evaluation, individual. Okay. Jangan semua ahli member, the group member hantar the same research paper. No need. Alright, clear?
Clear, teacher.
Okay. It will be better if you, whoever is given the task to submit the research paper, you can comment under the Google Classroom chat there. Okay, once you have submitted, you say, I'm the representative from group 3. Here I send you my test 1 as well as research paper for our group. Done. And then I will note on that. So that teacher tengok, okay, yang ni je. So I will only take this version. Because I think after this, I will see like banyak akan hantar many versions which I don't know which one is the finalized one. Okay, so if no more question, let's wrap up today's class. Let me stop recording. Okay, so thank you everyone. Okay, for next week, I will see how. Even if you have class, I will probably do it like for a short session only, just to go on with the whole assessment. Okay, sekejap je lah if we decide to have class. If we don't have class next week, or I want to give more time for you to finish your assignment, so probably today is our last class. So hopefully I can still see you next semester. You'll be taking another subject with me, right? I think next semester. We'll see how.
Just same one, teacher.
Huh?
Just for same one, I akan jumpa teacher. Sem 3 dah last.
Oh yeah. Okay, some of you won't be taking any more English courses, right? So yeah, but probably we'll get to see each other maybe, okay, in the campus. I don't know lah. Hopefully things will get better. Okay. So thank you everyone for your time for today. Okay. Yes, the attendance. Yeah, the attendance. Let me give you the link right now. So you can fill in the link and leave the class. Wait, where is it? I always forget the attendance link. Today is what date today? 13. Okay. 15 January 2022. All right. So we start our class at 10:15. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, teacher.
Welcome.
Thank you, teacher.